So, how about that Steam Deck though? Pretty good, huh? Last week, or was it 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago? I don't know, man. Time starts to mesh a lot for me nowadays. Either way, Valve recently announced what is meant to be the best device for mobile PC gaming. Emphasis on mobile PC gaming because, yeah, I don't necessarily think that the Steam Deck is ever going to be a competitor for the Switch. And before y'all label me as a Nintendrone, please just go ahead and look at my channel. I like Nintendo, but I call them out at every single announcement they make. So relax. Nintendo's reign over the handheld market is nothing newsworthy nowadays. I mean, they've reigned over Sega and over Sony with the Game Boy and all of its iterations, and with the 3DS, 2DS, the DS, DSi, and nowadays with the Switch. But they've been at the top because of one specific reason: their games. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Steam doesn't have any games because, well, that's the only thing they have. Games. Yeah, their support for hardware is a little lackluster and is honestly making me kind of nervous about the Steam Deck and purchasing one, but I think that not even having a large library of games will be able to compete with the Switch's stronghold over the handheld market, and that's okay and expected. However, it does pose a certain threat if Nintendo isn't careful or doesn't learn anything from the Steam Deck's release. The market the Steam Deck is going after are PC gamers, dedicated hardcore PC enthusiasts who might travel a lot or who are somewhat tired of lugging around their beefy and heavy gaming laptop everywhere. The Switch was the go-to console for gamers who travel a lot or who just like to play mobilely. Mobile, is that a word? I don't care, I'm just making up words here. So let's talk hardware first. Steam does have games, and thanks to the specs breakdown, we can see just how well the Steam Deck will be able to handle even the most demanding AAA games. Games such as Control will run allegedly smooth as butter, as some people at Valve have clarified that the Steam Deck will be targeting 30 FPS for games at its native resolution of 800p, meaning that this is the floor of what they consider playable. This doesn't necessarily mean that they're all gonna run at 30 FPS, they just mean that this is where they're all starting from. This is the foundation of the games. They further said that the games they've tested have consistently met and exceeded the 30 FPS bar so far. Digital Foundry has a great spec analysis video of the Steam Deck that I will link down in the description down below, as they're way more knowledgeable and way more fit to further explain and break down the specs of the Steam Deck. This thing has more usable memory than even Xbox's 1440p console, which leads me to believe it'll be comparable in performance. Of course, this is yet to be seen because, well, damn, we don't even have the damn thing yet, and we're already making speculative videos that this is going to be the competition of the Switch. Like, why am I even making this video? Honestly. Now, let's talk pricing. I think this is where Nintendo has a lot to worry about, in my opinion. Nintendo designs every single iteration of their consoles in a way that they're always underpowered, and they do this with a purpose, of course. You seriously think that one of the most profitable Japanese video game companies of all time isn't capable of making a 4K portable system? Honestly, I want you to look me in the eye and say,
yeah, Nintendo doesn't know how to make consoles.
But say it without a smirk. Come on now. Nintendo has famously underpowered its consoles to first and foremost cut costs and try to make a profit off of hardware. Famously, no console manufacturer makes a profit off of hardware sales. They usually produce and sell these at a cost or at a very small profit margin. The Switch, however, flipped this tradition on its head, and it's been working for them, seeing as the Switch makes a profit on console sales, Plus, it's set to become Nintendo's most profitable and successful console to date. However, the pricing of the base model of the Steam Deck does pose a small but significant threat if this goes unchecked. The base model of the Steam Deck, which has the same memory and storage space as the Switch's upcoming OLED model, is only $50 more. $50 more, you get an extremely powerful handheld gaming PC. You get quadruple the memory, expandable storage, significantly more powerful processing power, and I know I keep saying that the Steam Deck poses no threat to the Switch, but I can imagine Nintendo not liking how close the deck is priced because it essentially makes the Switch look rather weak, and it makes Nintendo look money hungry if the gap of improvements is so wide, yet the gap of pricing is so small. Is Valve undercharging or is Nintendo overcharging their console? Don't answer that question because we both know the answers to that question. It was a rhetorical question, okay? Okay. And finally, let's talk games. Even though the technical specs are very wide in comparison between the two handhelds, one has to wonder, will Steam's ever-expanding library of games be able to compete with the powerhouse that are Nintendo IPs? I mean, we still have to see just how viable of a AAA game machine the Steam Deck is, but given the reports on just how well it runs games such as Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, it seems to be that this little machine will be able to run games that have even been ported over to the Switch, such as Doom Eternal. Now, Valve has reiterated that the Steam Deck will run on a dedicated Linux-based OS created by themselves, and the Proton technology that it will use will allow for a smooth playing of PC games without having to port them over to work on Linux. So the whole library of Steam games becomes accessible from the comfort of your toilet. Now, unless Nintendo brings over the Virtual Console to the Switch in order to play GameCube, GBA, or let's say Wii games, Nintendo has nothing to worry about because we all know the Steam Deck will become a dedicated emulation machine. What I'm saying is that if Nintendo isn't losing money because they're not necessarily selling these games, these old games, and porting them over, then why would they care that the Steam Deck is able to play these games through emulation? The Steam Deck is essentially a rather decent PC in essence. You can decide to not use the pre-installed Steam OS and just install a copy of Windows on it, and it will work like a PC. So what does that mean? It means you can run QuickBooks and you can get your taxes sorted, of course. And also you can emulate games. That's where I'm going with this. Nintendo games are no strangers to emulation, partly because of Nintendo's unexplainable effort to not make these games available to play in modern consoles. When their aggressive tactics when it comes to shutting down ROM sites, it makes them a very easy target for emulation. So this is another scenario where the Switch killer term can apply, but only if the Virtual Console was made available before the Steam Deck's release. If not, well, I guess we'll see once Yuzu is stable enough to run in Windows. For now, we got Simu, Dolphin, and a bunch of other emulators that will without a doubt run on a Steam Deck with the oh so stable Windows operating system. So in conclusion, will the Steam Deck kill the Switch, or in less melodramatic terms, will it directly compete with the Switch? Debatable. If anything, it's put to light just how woefully underpowered the Switch is and how comfortable Nintendo has become ever since the Switch started experiencing an iota of success. Of course, any first-party title on the Switch will continue to sell well because they're console exclusives. They have no reason to run well or look good outside of the Switch's peripherals. But the Switch will start to look less appealing once we start to see just how well AAA titles run on the Steam Deck, and maybe just how well a 60 FPS 1080p Breath of the Wild would look and run on a similar form factor that is the Steam Deck. So what do you think? Do you think the Steam Deck has any possibility of bringing the Switch down from its throne? Or do you think they're just completely separate and they're fighting in their own respective markets? My voice cracked there a little bit. I apologize for that. still a teenager, even though I'm almost in my 30s. In my opinion, I think this won't essentially become the Switch killer because you just saw the whole video that I did on it. Like literally, if you're watching this, you saw everything I just said. That's why I don't think it is. I am getting one. I was able to reserve one. I don't know when I'm getting one, but I will be doing at least a very, very primitive tech spec and comparison of this thing in comparison to the Switch. Of course, I'm not gonna have the OLED model because that's not something I'm gonna buy, but I still think it is gonna be something that's gonna be comparable, at least to some extent. I'm excited for this thing. I don't care. It will become an emulation machine. In essence, that's what it's gonna be, and that's why I think people are getting it for the most part. But folks, I've been True Fernie. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe. If you didn't like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs down because every single bit helps. Links to my socials are down below. Please make sure to follow me on Twitch, where I try to stream regularly. But I was supposed to be streaming right now. Today's a Monday, but I took a nap, a 30-minute nap that ended up being a 3-hour nap, and I completely missed the mark on it, so I apologize for that. Damn, man, work has me dead right now. Please make sure to follow me on Twitter, where I spend most of my waking hours and where you can reach me a lot faster. If y'all didn't know, I do a weekly podcast with guests sometimes over here on my YouTube channel. Alternatively, you can listen to it on the go on Spotify. Just search for Search and Report. Our logo is a little Game Boy with the word Search and Report on it. You won't miss it. You can listen to it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Store, anywhere and any place that you listen to podcasts nowadays. And also, please make sure to join our Discord server where we talk anything and everything gaming, anime, TV, movies, memes, anything, man, that might interest you as my viewer. And with that, please take care of each other, but most importantly, take care of yourself. And I'm talking about the Switch. This is directed to the Switch. Please take care of yourself, because they're coming for you. All right, peace.